everyone, welcome to this tutorial for my enchanting and lavish arrangement of the hymn It Is Well With My Soul. In this tutorial, I'm going to go over any potential trouble spots, as well as offer some insights into my thinking as the arranger. And I'll actually start with that. I call this an enchanting and lavish arrangement because of the theme that I wrote for it. It's presented right at the very beginning. The arrangement's in C major, but that little theme is actually, it borrows from the minor key, C minor, and uses a lot of E flats, A flats, and B flats. And the result, I think, is something that sounds very enchanting and maybe even exotic, you might say. And I think that offers to you, the pianist, an opportunity for expressiveness. It gives you a lot of material to sink your musical fingers into, to make this as expressive as you want it, especially with the chords that I chose and the voicings and some of the accompanimental patterns. It really goes for the whole arrangement, that you can kind of make it what you want. I give an instruction here at the beginning expressively, and I really mean that. You can kind of play it as written. You can set your metronome and play the dynamics as written, or you can let it breathe. And breathe as much as you want. You can make it very expressive, almost bombastic, and perfect for maybe a performance setting like a recital or a prelude or a special music. Or you can tone it down and quiet it and maybe slow it down a little bit and keep the dynamics more subdued and turn this into a very beautiful and peaceful arrangement, perfect for like a communion or a funeral. So in that sense, this arrangement's very versatile, and I would encourage you as the pianist to own the richness of the arrangement here, and enjoy the opportunity that you have to really make it your own. Okay, so there are a number of things in here I want to address, some potential trouble spots. I will say I'm just going to go right in order through the sheet music. In measure 2, there in the right hand is a D and then a G and an F. And you can play that, what I would call literally, like this. Or you can play those bottom 2 notes with just your thumb. And I think in the context of that measure, because of the chord you're coming from, it is easier to play it like that with your thumb. And the same would go, this is actually a common feature in my arrangements. It comes up again in this one, and it's in others, where you have a second like that, either in your right hand or even in your left hand. Sometimes you might have something that's rolling up, like that. And if that's not something that you've known before or done or been taught, it's a little hack, a little tip, a little trick of the trade that makes things a lot easier. If you have a second that's at the top of your left hand or the bottom of your right, just play it with your thumb, and it's a lot easier. Okay, at measure 10, the melody for the first verse comes in. And it's really your right hand that's doing all the work here. And it's playing the chords, it's playing a rhythmic pattern, and it has the melody. And so you want to make sure that the melody comes out. Fortunately, it's sitting at the top, it's always at the top, which our ears naturally go to the top note. So you're at an advantage. But I want to encourage you that if you've never worked on voicing your playing within one hand, not just making one hand louder than another, but actually making notes played with your different fingers louder than the others, to try to work on that, try to develop that technique. It's kind of a more advanced technique, but it really is worth the effort, I think. And if it's not something you worked on, then I would suggest a simple technique, a simple practice method to develop that ability. And that is, most of the time that top note's going to be played with your pinky, but not always. And so let's just start by taking the pinky. If you play, you don't want to ever have tension in your hand, but you do want your that top note to be played with a rigid finger. You want your pinky to be rigid. You want the muscles in there to be engaged. And so that when you hit it, it's a firm, confident sound. And then the notes below it, you want to be very soft. So you can start by just playing the top note loud, the notes below it soft. You can even take, say if we just take the first beat, these first 2 eighth notes, and we're just going to rock back and forth without moving the pinky. We go like that. Keep these quiet. You can start there maybe, and then we can go. Practice very disparate dynamics. Loud, soft, loud. Get used to the feeling of different fingers in the same hand playing different dynamics, what that feels like. And then you start to put them together. Then take it slow. It's hard for me to do this at the angle I'm sitting. It also doesn't come through as well on a keyboard through that's coming out of speakers into the microphone. But it's actually much easier to do on an acoustic piano. But that's what I would encourage you to do for that. Hopefully that's a helpful tip. Okay, if I go to the next page at measure 21, there's this rundown in the right hand. And I didn't put fingering in there. Probably should have. But if you run into that and you think, how do you play that? You want to make sure that you always have a finger available to play the ands of those beats, that eighth note that's walking down. So if you just watch me, like that. So my thumb's available. Play the chord with 5, 3, 2. So my thumb's available, and then I just roll over. That's how I do that. At the bottom of the page, measure 32, there's a little run here. It's difficult to play it in time. So as you're performing it, just milk it. Maybe play it as if there's an ad-lib direction here or a fermata over that. That's one of those moments where you can be expressive. Okay, I circled the spots I wanted to address. Just looking for that. Okay, I guess there's just one more thing. So, at the bottom, the very last system of this arrangement, there's some pedal markings, and I quite intentionally put that in there. I do have a direction at the beginning to play this arrangement with the pedal, so use the pedal as you see fit. But at the beginning, I put in some literal direction here because I think it sounds really cool to play this chord, this dissonant chord here, and let it hang over as you do this little coda at the end, so that it goes. It's almost like a dreamy kind of ending to the song. All right, I think that about does it. Just encourage you, like I feel it very intuitively in the verses where we have that chord progression. It naturally what's the word I'm looking for? It naturally grows, has an expansive kind of feeling. So that's one of those moments where you might feel, if it's a tender moment, let them like, you might let the tempo like really stretch in moments. But if you're in a more performance-y setting, you might want to go, you want to let each one grow. I'm exaggerating, but you get the idea. That's one of those examples of how you might make this a really expressive and fun arrangement to perform, rather than just trying to be a machine about it. play it like your computer might play it. Let it move. Let it move, let it breathe, let it feel like waves of the ocean ebbing and flowing. I think you'll enjoy it more, and I think the people you're playing it for will also enjoy it more, maybe even sing along. That would be cool. All right, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next tutorial.